On DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been.
Yeah, that's utterly insane. Yeah, could have crashed into a dragon, could have been hit by lightning. Maybe there was a black hole in the sky. Remember that CNN thing from a few years back? Yeah, could have been almost anything. He has literally no reason to think it's that, and yet that is immediately what he goes to. And he's free to do that if that's what he wants to do. And Fox News and all of the shills and right-wing independent media that just say the exact same thing that you hear on Fox News, they can say that that's what it is because they don't want you to know what's actually going on. But thankfully, we have some Democrats that are actually pushing back against this. So AOC, who by the way mentions in her tweet that she represents LaGuardia Airport as well as workers for JFK, she pointed out what we have talked about on the show, that he gutted the Aviation Safety Committee. She also points out air traffic controllers, already understaffed, got the buyout with a 1-week ultimatum to decide. And she says it's not DEI, it's him and Elon too. And they have to keep hitting him for this. Again, it's like I said a couple weeks ago, in his first term, we were so disgusted by his presence in government that we mostly focus on just stopping him from doing anything, okay? But now we need to acknowledge he is the president, and that comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of expectations. He is not going to live up to literally any of that, but we need to continually remind people of the opportunity cost of having this monster in office. And when things like this happen, it's his responsibility now. I didn't want it to be. Very few people watching this voted for him, but it is actually his responsibility. He doesn't get to just point the finger at a minority group or whatever. And by the way, Pete Buttigieg, who would have been in charge of handling this had Donald Trump not got elected, and who Donald Trump attacked in this, responded saying, despicable, as families grieve, Trump should be leading, not lying. We put safety first, drove down close calls, grew air traffic control, and had 0 commercial airline crash fatalities out of millions of flights on our watch. President Trump now oversees the military and the FAA, or at least what's left of it. One of his first acts was to fire and suspend some of the key personnel who helped keep our skies safe. Time for the president to show actual leadership and explain what he will do to prevent this from happening again. I just want to remind everyone, you remember like when we finally pulled out of Afghanistan after like 2 decades, after Trump said he would for 4 years and then never actually got it done. And then some soldiers tragically died, and the right basically said this is Biden's fault. The entire thing shouldn't have happened because this happened. We didn't have anything like this on our watch, even though soldiers did die in the Middle East on his watch. This has to be the version of it. They would have blamed Pete Buttigieg. Well, I mean, they still are, even though he's not in charge. But if he was in charge, they'd blame him even more, and Biden and all of that. And they would look to anything that had been done to explain that. So now it is only fair and I think appropriate, considering what they did with the FAA in their first week, to make sure that we do the same. So Brett, I don't know what you'd like. What would you like to see the Democrats do? How should they be communicating about this?
Listen. The day Trump took over, things in America got markedly worse. Stock market, crash. Our AI software, crash. Someone else is flying, we're crashing. This plane crashed. The only thing that's gaining elevation is the price of eggs. Donald Trump, usually it takes a while to notice that the person with the job is sucky at it. And usually the person who takes over the presidency after winning an election and getting rid of the incumbent hasn't had the job before. He's done the job before and he's still this sucky at it.
Yep.
This is like when the epidemic of hiring old Yahoo executives. Like every time an old Yahoo executive shows up at a company, you're like, we are screwed, dude. They only got the job because jobs like this were on their resume.
Yeah.
Like it's bad freaking news. And it's so obvious, and they need to harp on this. Why? Because it's true. They say they want to get rid of the government because it feels awesome. You hate the government. I get it. We hate the government because they take my taxes. I understand that. But like, there's this really good video that's going around that says if you used to like something and it's sucky now, it's because of private equity. Because the private equity gets in there and they do things to just suck as much cash out of it as they can, and they don't care about the product itself. That is what these vultures are doing to your country. right now, worse than the people who did it before, who were plagued by that same issue. Every time I look around and I see something very impressive about America's infrastructure, they say it was built by the Army Corps of Engineers. Every time I see some monstrosity, it was built by some private corporation that they say was going to be really good because competition. No. The competition is to get the bid, get entrenched, and then screw over everybody who's paying you to do it, because you're just like these guys swooping in and trying to leech all of the capital and all of the upside out of it and turd the rest of whatever detritus is left over into the gaping maws of your maggots who love it so much. And that's what they live off of. I don't want to get that on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love not only the substance of what you said, but you can tell that Brett's a guy he's read the classics. He's got a mastery of the language. That was evocative. I need you to do a punch up of some of my sword and sorcery, I think, because I like your metaphors and stuff.
Thank
but anyway,
you.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And just everybody, we can't just leave. We can't just go to sleep. So over the next 4 years, you're gonna see it markedly worse on day one, as Brett said, and it's only gonna get worse from here. And just even on today's show, we're gonna give you a preview of some of the ways that's coming, and it's not far off. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.